All right, let's just talk a little bit about our EPD service offering that we have for the NRMCA members. Obviously, we at the Institute, we've been around for a while, and we're actually celebrating our 20th year of operating and working in this field of LCA as applied to the construction sector. We're probably best known for providing or developing data and providing free software tools to the architectural and engineering community, whether you're building a building or designing a roadway. And of course, we've been working extensively with various EPD program operators, NRMCA being one, ULE, CSA, ASTM, NSF, all being others in this particular field, whether we're actually doing the LCAs, generating the EPDs, or verifying others EPDs developed by other consulting companies. In the process of the NRMCA EPD version 1 and 2, we actually will have a lot of data. And all of this data has been verified via those EPD verification reports. And in the process, we developed this regionalized LCA calculator tool, which we think really streamlines the EPD process. We think we can provide you with a relatively cost-effective solution. And what we're trying to do with our tool is add some value in terms of you interfacing with your customer. For instance, instead of having to do all that lookup in terms of benchmarking, the auto benchmarking is built into our tool, something that I think will be useful to you, whether you choose to get a full-fledged EPD or not, in terms of demonstrating to your customer in real time and in front of them how various mixed designs will meet various LEED V4 credits for their particular projects, which I think are something that they'd be interested in. Obviously, if we have your plant data on file, it's relatively easy to set this up. We can do this for a single plant. We can do this for a company operating very numerous plants, and in varying regions. That's not a big issue. And for those who may be more vertically integrated, i.e. have your own cement or your own quarry operation, we can customize the tool for that as well. So all sorts of things that we think that adds value to what we are offering in the marketplace. How does it all work? Well, I'm sorry, no, maybe I should just touch upon where we've been utilizing this tool and the data. We obviously have a number of different clients, ready-mix companies included. We've completed industry-wide EPDs for various cement, precast, concrete masonry producers all over North America. So the point here is that we have a considerable amount of experience. We think we have an unmatched data set, and we're really here with a database in terms of materials, plant operations that we think is really going to service you as clients and give you a very robust and cost-effective solution. How does it all work? Excuse me. Obviously, we have to set up your LCA EPD tool. Again, if we have your plant data, it's a fairly simple process. We calibrate it and make sure that it's regionally plausible, if you will, and from a performance perspective. We then hand over that tool to you. You enter the mixed designs for which you want an EPD. 30 to 50 is a typical list of mixed designs that you would have in your EPD. These would be probably your popular designs as well as your more green designs that you would want to have in your initial EPD. We write that LCA and EPD for you, and we actually shepherd it through the verification process. So when it's all said and done, you have a verified or a reviewed LCA background report, you have a verified EPD, and you come out with a verified EPD calculator tool. All things that are important to you. And because now you have that plant-specific EPD and the verified tool, which you can now utilize on your own without any interference from us, and generate additional EPDs if you so choose, i.e. a particular LEED project comes along specifying a particular product-specific EPD that they want to utilize on a project, you can just generate that particular EPD for them. Excuse me. What I think might be useful now is to hand it over to my colleague James Salazar. He'll give you a quick demo of the tool, and then I'll come back and tell you what it all costs. Mr. Bogdan, can you help us?
I think you need to share the screen.
No problem. Just waiting for the delay over to James.
All right.
Traveling across North America from East Coast to West Coast.
Yeah, definitely wasn't instantaneous, but so hopefully you can see
now.
You can see my screen
Not
now?
yet.
Okay.
No, I do not. While we wait, please utilize the questions panel. We have several questions in that we will answer after the presentation is over. However, please utilize that so we can make sure we provide as much information to you as possible during this webinar session.
Are you now seeing my screen?
I can see your screen, James. But Mr. Bogdan, you cannot?
No, I do not.
James, can you hit start here? Or have you?
I mean, I hit the showing my screen. I don't know. I don't have a start here option.
No, on the tab for the calculator itself. I'm just seeing. I'm not sure it's refreshing.
Yeah, I think maybe my computer may be freezing.
That's not nice.
No, we'll give it just a second. So, can you see the start here tab? Okay, yeah, it was just a little hung up. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you're sitting not moving your mouse for half an hour. Okay, so this is the main page of the kind of introduction page to this calculator tool. As Jamie may have mentioned, I don't remember, it is actually an Excel-based tool. We, as Jamie mentioned, have developed all sorts of software from spreadsheet tools all the way up to standalone software, and for this application, just for the ability to quickly customize things in-house and to do, basically custom versions of this, we decided that Excel was the best option because it really does everything that we want it to do. This is a plain Jane spreadsheet. This does not have any macros embedded or anything like that, so you're not going to have any, problems running this on your machine. It is just an Excel spreadsheet. So as you can see, there's several main tabs here. This is just basically describes a background on the calculator itself. This will refer to the EPD report if we've done one of those for you, but it really functions even just as a standalone calculator. The first functional tab here, and this is really, I think, the main organization of the tool itself, is this tab, and this is the mixed data entry. So this is essentially where you're entering in different concrete mixes. And as you may be able to see on the left here, it gives me the option to select between metric and imperial. Right now it's currently set to imperial units, which then asks me to enter in mixed designs per cubic yard. We can also set this up where it operates, where it's functional with any number of different plants simply from a drop-down menu. That's very simple to do. But I want to jump right in to show you how we basically build up a mix here. As you can see, there's different material inputs listed on the left column here: Portland cement, slag cement, etc., different aggregates. This entire list here is completely customizable to your plant. So if there is a different, something specific aggregate-wise that you're purchasing, or a specific admixture that has data or cement, what we're able to easily integrate that on the back end and on the front end here. So this list is customizable to you. And essentially what this does is once we've entered in some mixes, which I'll show you as I kind of scroll to the right and show you in some examples, it essentially calculates the LCA result for that mix in real time. So there's no execute, there's no waiting for it to do any calculations. It's actually doing everything on the fly. So as I scroll over here, you can see that this first mix in the list is a 2,500 PSI mix with 100% Portland cement. Uses 400 pounds of Portland cement, 1,100 pounds of crushed coarse aggregate, 500 pounds of natural coarse aggregate, etc. And you can see here that it's telling me that the status is complete. And I've got this thing preloaded. Essentially the way we use it in-house, and the way we envision you using it, is essentially it will calculate and store up to 100 mixes at a time. So essentially when you enter in a mix, the mix itself can always be available here in this tool. You know, you're not doing one at a time or a handful at a time. You can do up to 100. So essentially, to use the tool, I simply scroll over to the first available column here, and I'm going to enter in a new mix. So the mix name is the first entry. I want this to be, let's see if my computer will freeze up again. Tell you what, the computer is not acting very happy with you this morning, so I'm going to just let this, I'm going to work with the mixes that I already have entered. Because my computer just wants to hang. Time to do a reboot, I think. So essentially, we're going to work with this 4,000 PSI 40% slag. So essentially, as I'm entering in the mix, I'm starting with 400 pounds of cement. I've got 270 pounds of the various aggregates, and it tells me that the mix is complete. So if I were, for instance, to remove some of the aggregates and to bring down the overall mass down below a cutoff threshold, which we have embedded into the tool as a quality control measure, it will tell me that the mix is actually incomplete. If I add back in that aggregate, now my mix is complete again. There's also a quality control threshold here on the cement. So if I enter in too little cement, there's actually a cutoff here, and it'll tell me insufficient cement. But I want to work with a complete mix, so I have that the 4,000 PSI mix. It's actually not 40% slag anymore; it's a little bit less, but it works just the same. So I'll scroll over now to the next tab, which is a results tab. And this actually shows all of the results that are in the EPD for all of the mixes that are entered into the tool. So as you can see here on the left, there's a mix name column which shows all of the mixes that are currently embedded in the tool. And then it shows the global warming potential, the ozone potential, acidification potential, basically the main results table in the EPD. For every mix. The next tab over is this benchmark comparison, and this is where the tool does some, I think this is a key functionality because it prevents you from having to cross-reference the correct region and find the correct strength class in the benchmark report by doing all of that automatically. So as you can see here, I've got a few that I've already selected. I'm going to select another one. Essentially, when I select this drop-down list, it allows me to select every mix that I have entered so far. So I'm going to select a 2500 PSI 50% slag. And what it does is it actually calculates the relative percentage of the benchmark. So for instance, the fact here that this is in the 68 to 90% means that it's 30 to between 10 and 30 to 40% lower than the benchmark specific to that region. And what this means is I can see here very easily that of the 6 impact categories, it's lower in every one. And lead optimization credits require that I'm lower in 3 of the 6. So this mix does qualify under that lead optimization. So essentially you would make a note of this mix, and then essentially in addition to providing the EPD to the customer, you're actually also providing something like this graph here. You can actually export this graph and present this directly to the specifier to show how it can achieve the lead optimization credits. Very simply, just from a drop-down list. The next tab over is allows you to do essentially, in addition to claiming these optimization credits, it actually allows you to generate supplementary EPDs on the fly. So you can see here I've already got a few selected. I'm working on a new draft EPD for my company. I just simply go over here to the drop-down list. I select a mix, and it automatically adds all of the results here to my supplementary EPD. I can show you I can add another row. This is the new one I was just working on. So this is 50% slag. And this essentially shows the list and shows how you can build a list to do your supplementary EPD. You can do up to 30 at a time per supplementary EPD. And essentially the way this works is you go to File, and if my machine won't hang again, you're just going to simply go to File, Print, and save this as a PDF right to your desktop. And this will essentially allow you to share the PDF document with the specifier along with the EPD itself, and that will then allow all of these new mixes that are in the supplementary EPD to qualify for that. Essentially, they're now covered under the original EPD once it's, essentially once it's this attachment is provided. So essentially, that's really, straightforward. All of the background plant data is all embedded, first validated by us because, as Jamie mentioned, we have over 500 plants, or close to 500 plants worth of data, so we have very good data quality rules in-house, so we're able to manage plant data like that. So essentially, what you get is a tool that all you're having to deal with is entering in new mixes, seeing how they stack up in terms of the lead indicators, and just simply saving them as a PDF to your desktop, and then providing that to your customer with the EPD to also get, in addition to lead optimization credit, the actual product-specific LCA or product-specific EPD and generate those on the fly. You would then send the supplementary EPD with the original EPD over to the folks at NRMCA, and they could start the verification process. So now I'm going to just pass it back over to Jamie so he can tell you what all of this costs.
Sorry guys, there's a unmute there. Thank you, James. I see that we're running pretty close to the timeline here. I was going to do a little summary slide, but I think I better just jump into what it all costs, because I presume that's why.
Please do. We do have a bunch of questions, and I want to try to get to them.
Sure. All right. So we can deliver this particular plant-specific tool to you If we have your plant data, it costs $150 per plant. You may well just be very interested in having it on hand. Whether you actually go for an EPD is completely up to you. If we don't have your data, then it's going to be $300 per plant because we're going to have to collect your data, verify it against our data set, and then develop the tool. We can then move along and take whatever, up to 50 mixed designs per plant, and develop your LCA background report in EPD. We have templates for all of that. And for the first plant, we charge $8,000 and $1,000 for each additional plant that might be included under that EPD. So, for instance, if you have 3 plants and 50 mixes per plant, you have a total of 150 mixed designs. When we actually go and do the verification, which would cost about another $4,000 to have your LCA, EPD, and tool verified, you're looking at about $27 per mixed design for that verification service. Overall, for one plant with 50 mixed designs, a verified EPD and tool, it's about $12,000, obviously a couple more thousand if you want to have a couple additional plants. If you want us to maintain your tool, i.e. that there's an annual maintenance fee and we update your data annually, it's $125 per plant per year. And thereafter, you can generate all the EPDs, supplementary EPDs you want. Doesn't involve the institute. You don't pay the institute. All you have to do is pay the verification costs associated with those supplementary mixed designs. Here I'm using NRMCA's fee schedule. So say you want to generate another 90 mixed designs, 30 mixed designs over 3 plants, ends up being about $14 per mixed design. I want to thank you for your attention. I'm sorry we ran a little late and had a little technical hiccup, but we'd be happy to answer your questions, and I thank you for your attention. And there's James and my email in the event you want to get in touch with us directly.